Okay, so here we are on the last full moon of the year. And so this is kind of talk about putting down something, right? A lot of my meditations, I talk about that, putting it down, putting your worries down, putting your fears down, putting problems down, and letting spirit have intervention, you know? So here we're going to have allow divine intervention, right? Divine intervention by light. And so we want to allow that light to come through in our meditation tonight on this great big, kind of heavy full moon because it is Cancer Capricorn, Cancer full moon. So it's emotional and it's full of feelings. And it's a water sign, right? So all of the water signs will be feeling this a lot more than, say, an air sign, right? And earth signs too, though, because Capricorn is the solar month we're in. And so the Capricorn month is about ascending, ascending, ascending. It climbs, right? It achieves. It puts one foot in front of the other very, very distinctly and on purpose. Where Cancer feels it all, feels every little nuance of it, and can be very, very extremely sensitive. And so both those qualities are in the air, and there's so much in the air right now, as we still are seeing. If you look out your window in the southwestern sky, you'll see the double star of Jupiter and Saturn. So really double planet, but they look like stars in the sky, and so it's super bright. And from my point of view, I can see it from my balcony, looks three-dimensional because they're exactly on top of each other by astronomical terms, but in the sky they're just a little bit apart. And so there's this dimensionality around those two planets as they're floating in the sky so beautifully and brightly, super shining. And so it's good to just look at it. It's been in the sky for months now, actually visibly, but now it's the tightest that it is going to be, and then it's going to start to spread apart, and they're not going to be right on top of each other any longer. But just not that long ago, on the solstice, which a lot of you were there for, it was on the solstice went into 0 degrees Aquarius. And so after almost a year of those two planets being conjunct in Capricorn, in that heavy energy that Capricorn can be when those planets are coming together, and Pluto was there and Mars was squaring, and I know that's a lot of astrology, but it was really so profound. No big surprise there, because look at what happened. Look at what happened in the world. It really brought us to our knees. The whole world stopped, right? And so everything got looked at and re-looked at. And of course, we did that too in our own lives, the basics of life, how we get money, how we live, how we stay healthy, right? These very basic things all had to be re-looked at. And as a world, we're looking at those basic things like government and elections and, what is right use of power and what is right relationship, and on and on. We've been learning and learning and learning, and it's been relentless. Last year, right? Or this year, actually. We're still in it. Got a couple more days. But I love that this full moon is falling right at the very end of the year. We only have a couple more days left, and we start out the new year. And we also had the solstice. So if you were there for the solstice, keep your word in mind as we enter the new year and as when we do the meditation, because I want you to work with a little bit. And if you weren't here for the solstice, maybe you will get your solstice word in tonight's meditation. And I would encourage you to do that, because that solstice word is a 365-day word, phrase, concept that your soul gives you, right? The soul gives it to you. It says, work on this. Now, I don't work on what you think, what the soul knows for you. And so you get to work with that word, and it is so powerful as you learn all the different gyrations of what something actually means, the shadow of it and the light of it, and you get to work with that concept, and it is something that you need right now. That's why the soul offers it, right? It offers you that. So for some of you that maybe weren't there, use this as an opportunity to check first of all, to just check in on your word. How's it doing? It's only been a week or so, not even, to work with it and see what its status is. And if you didn't get one or you didn't do the meditation, maybe it'll come up tonight. I really encourage you to think about that. So we have this double star thing going in Aquarius. And the other thing that's happening is that Uranus is in Taurus. And I've been calling that a bulldozer. It's just going plowing through the ground. It's like a terrible archaeological dig. Very messy business where it's just grinding and grinding and grinding away. While last year, all year, we've been having all those planets in Capricorn squaring Mars, while Uranus has been plowing away in Taurus, meaning digging it up, digging it up. Now what's under that, and what's under that, and what's under that, and what's under that, right? So it's really been a year, It's been a lot, and a lot has come up for people, of course, and I've been working with so many people, we're sort of balancing and trying to respond rather than react to all the changes that are occurring in the life. And of course, it's the opportunity of a lifetime. This kind of a combination of astrology and astronomy hasn't happened, this particular one, in more than 800 years. So we're thinking about big changes here in our world and in our lives. And I think it's so good if you can look at it like that everything happens for a reason, everything. And even though we say, oh, not that, yeah, that. and when you look back, in a year from now, and you look back at this year, you'll see why and what this was all about, more and more and more. You need that distance sometimes to see it, because it's hard to see when you're in it, right? And that's why we use meditation, right? Because the meditation is the navigating device. It's our seeing eye in the dark vision goggles, right? That you can kind of see what's happening in a more profound way without your actual eyes, but with your inner eye. You can see what's actually happening and make different kinds of choices and different sorts of responses because you can see. Right? Because if you just use your eyes, right, it can be shocking. It's alarming, practically, what has been occurring this year. And it's not done yet. So here we go, right? Another year of interesting changes. But this year was really something because it unearthed, right? It dug it up, it showed it, it brought it to the fore. And in that sense, we know exactly what we're working with, right, in our own lives and in the world. And so what have you been working with this year? It's a good question to ask. It's a good time to check in. And there's one more element that's happening that I thought was so interesting. Some of you that are into the nodes, I know, like Cecilia and a few of you I know what that means even. But Venus today on this full moon is conjunct the South Node. And what that means is nodes are about past lives and lives coming, and sort of where the energy we came in with and the energy we're moving towards, right? In a simple way of saying it. And with Venus sitting on the South Node, it's karmic. This is a karmic full moon, big time. So things may be coming up for you that are old, that are from another time, that are from when you were a child, childhood memories, childhood impressions, where you pick things up, how much we are our mothers and our fathers. And no matter how much we've changed and grown and become, we're still a product of them. And yet we're still a soul sovereign, right? All of that is the beautiful complexity of the physical experience. And so with Venus sitting there, it's like, can you love those choices that got made, those parents that made you? That can you love your past? Can you love your history? Can you put it down with care and kindness rather than anger and frustration, right? Or blame or things like that, victimization and all those kinds of words. Can we put this down like it's the most precious thing, our past, whether it be this lifetime past or lifetimes past? We put it down to be in the new now, because our point of power is here and now. This is our opportunity. This is the time, and this is where we create from, and this is where we build our next steps from, is from the now, right? And so, but first it must be past, and sort of holds us in its energy, frequency of, I think this about money, and I think this about love, and I think this about myself, and I think this about the world, and we get these kind of fixed opinions that are not fluid, that are not responsive. They are fixed and concretized. And whenever something becomes fixed and concretized, it becomes vulnerable, oddly, even in its fixedness and its hardness, because the only way it can change is by cracking, right? And when things are fluid, you can redirect, you can mold and shape. When things are more fixed, it's harder to change. So what in your life are you ready to look at differently? What in your life, and especially we're talking about the past now, because of that South Node Venus conjunction, the love of our history, right? To see the value that if it weren't for those experiences, we wouldn't be where we are now. If it weren't for our experiences, we wouldn't be the people that we are. That the very conditions that we grew up in, whatever they were, and I don't know anybody that had it easy, whatever they were, are sort of the sacred journey that you have walked, every single bit of it, including every single bit of what has been transpiring just in this last year, right? And we're talking about, we're at the end of the year, we're putting it down, we're finishing it consciously, and I love this because it's almost like a New Year's offering I'm giving tonight that happens to be highlighted by the full moon that is happening right now. It's that bright lantern light that shines into the life at the end of the year as we enter the new one, right? How do we do that with consciousness? And how do we do that with forgiveness? And how do we do that with love, right? And so today, part of anyway what we're going to be working with is a little bit about, the emotional past, the full moon in Cancer, our feelings about that, how we're feeling, grieving a little things, releasing things a little bit, things like that, letting go of things, realizing things. There's so much to get out of this particular full moon as we then begin to step into this new year, having moved through the solstice, which is the true new year, where the light begins to increase, right? It starts from December 21st on, the light gets more and more and more and more, and gradually increasing until it comes to summer solstice, which is the most light, right? And then it starts to go back down again. And so we are already a few steps into that increasing light. And when there's increased light, there's increased hope, right? But like I said at the solstice, it's those dark times, that most dark time, the solstice, one light makes the whole room brighten, right? And in the bright light, and you light a candle or 20 or 100, you might not even notice it. But in the dark, you can see one. And that's how powerful light is. And that's how powerful you are. And we can bring that light and that consciousness of our own light into our lives. And that's part of always what we're working on when we meditate, right? Is to become conscious beings, conscious souls incarnated, right, into this, and to be a light in our own, for ourselves and others, so that that radiance of our own awareness shines a pathway for ourselves, but anybody that's nearby too. And we can then have 2 lights together, and that even makes more light, and have 30 lights together, like right now, right? We have 41 lights, right? And so in our little beautiful light station that we're making here, we're radiating a lot of light, a lot of consciousness. So how do you use this, right? And so the thing I want to say before we go into the meditation that I just wanted to offer, because it's such a great thing to remember as spiritual principle, is that when you're going into a meditation, or whenever you're trying to think of it like, what should I do in my life about this or that? How do you know what to do? How do you recognize when something's true or something's just an idea, right? Or something's a good idea even, but it might not be true, right? How do you know truth? How do you discern between the difference of a good idea or a logical idea? It looks good on paper, but it might not match your life or suit your life or help your life at all, right? How can you tell? And the thing that I wrote down to mention tonight was just the idea that truth has a vibration. Just like everything does. So does untruth, right? But truth has a vibration that is palpable, that is energetic vibration that you can feel in your body and in your whole body awareness. And when we go into the meditation, I'm going to ask you to touch that place, like so that you can start to memorize it, feel it for yourself, what truth feels like, which is not fixed. It's not concretized, because truth is ever changing. Because truth depends. It depends. It depends. It depends. It depends on where you're standing and what you're looking at and the point of view that you're holding. Because that truth is ever moving, right? How you respond in any moment. So should you turn left or right on Thursday is going to have a different answer on Friday, and actually from hour to hour and maybe even moment to moment, what direction to take in the life is decided in truth in the moment. And in that moment, there's a vibration and you can feel it. And I want you to pull that into this work tonight as we go into the meditation of sort of feeling the difference between the fluid truth that is, there's a whole other thing I want to say about truth, because truth is whole, right? But it has a fluidity to it, because depending on which way you're looking at that truth, right, it has a different quality to what colors you're looking at when you hold it this way than when you hold it that way. But it's all still truth, right? Where the right answer has a fixedness to it, right? And it might be really good advice, but it might not match the life. And that's what we're trying to discern on this Cancer full moon. Like, how can you feel the vibration of truth, which has light in it, has clarity in it? It's like a diamond. And you can feel that, and that's all in that third eye point, where you can discern energies from any subject. But tonight we're playing with the idea of how to discern truth. So the vibration of truth is what I want you to think about as we enter the meditation for this full moon. So when you're ready to, if you have a candle, light your candle. I just lit mine. And if you don't, just do it in your mind, right? It's the same. Because lighting a candle literally or lighting a candle in your consciousness is vibrationally the same. And as you start to know that, you start to realize that vibration is as powerful as action, right? What we think makes, becomes, manifests, right? You start to take more responsibility about what you're thinking about, and how you are holding things, whatever that is, and especially these days, and in all my women's circles especially, we've been talking about how to take better care of ourselves during these very difficult times. How can you better take care? And that's a vibration too, to care for yourself, right? To care for others, of course, and care for yourself, of course. Like, it's the same, right? So when you're ready to, take your seat and be comfortable. And that's important whenever you're meditating, that you're not in pain, that you find a way to be in your body where there's some peace in it. It's, of course, always better to be upright than to be prone in meditation proper, although, if that's what it needs to be because you're in a hospital bed, then laying down is right where you should be, right? But if you can, you want to be upright because it aligns the chakras in a very particular way. And so we want that alignment in the chakras ideally. It just makes that connection a little bit more profound. So when you're ready to, just start to close your eyes. And I want you to just drop into yourself and into your heart chakra. So heart chakra, right, that universal love, not personal, that's third chakra. The fourth chakra, heart chakra, is universal love. It is the love of all blessings to all beings, right? And so just let's use that phrase as our starting point, all blessings to all beings. As your beginning kind of marker, as you set the tone for this meditation, all blessings to all beings, so that anything I understand in this meditation becomes a blazed trail for someone else, right? That understanding, that awareness that I may gain in this moment, in this meditation, becomes a pathway, becomes the lantern holder, right? That shines the light along the path, this way, come this way, right? And so all blessings to all beings. And you breathe through your heart chakra and just start to establish yourself in the heart. Breath by breath, breath by breath, breath by breath. Becoming more and more still and silent, and sort of turning the thinking machine of the brain down, the volume. Turn the volume down. And let yourself be. In those first gentle steps of awareness. And you start to feel yourself quieten that busyness of mind, that chatter of thinking that just goes and goes and goes and goes, and that's all right, let it go. But let it go, right? Put it down. Putting down your thinking for the moment, putting down reactions, putting down judgments, putting down sense of separation, putting it down like thing by thing, gently though, right? Not throwing it away, not trashing it, but just putting it down, placing it. And in your mind's eye, sense an altar there. That there might be a subject that you want to put on your altar that you're putting down. And today, what I'd like to bring into this meditation anyway is this younger self or past self or the past period or little you, right? Sweet little you. You know, before damage, before confusion, before hurt. I know how to say it, in innocence, right? In innocence. And as you place that, however you can imagine it, on your altar, which is just a construct, right? It was just a sacred space, a sacred place. You place this subject on the altar. And just behold this as you are aware that this is something to look at. This is something to understand. This is something to feel. This is something maybe to forgive. From your heart. And just feel the circle of consciousness in the world that's meditating tonight. All this light, all these aware souls, all of us aware. And we bring that light, that collective radiance, onto the subject of the past, of making right with it somehow. Not from your logic though, but by spirit. That soul infusion of light awareness about then. It might be a thing that you're thinking of. It might be a whole the whole thing of your childhood, or it might be something else. But whatever it is, just place that on the altar, and the radiance of our collective light right now is affecting it, is healing it, is changing it, and allowing for that grace. I receive this grace to heal my life, past, present, future. Past, present, future. I receive this grace to heal my life, your life, past, present, future. Now. And watch this transformation as you're in this meditation. Observe what you see. What are you knowing? What are you perceiving? What are you sensing about that subject that you placed on that altar, that sacred space? How is it changing even as we're meditating right now? Let it show you what it was. Let it show you what it is. Let it show you what it can become. Let it show you what it can become. And that thing that it can become is your next step, is where you're going. What it could become. Magical, healed, holy, creative. Something that matters to you. And you let it be. And I want you to imagine in your mind's eye that feeling of blowing a dandelion. Right? You just blow that out into your world. This healed self, this healing self. Gently. This grace, this healing. Now we have one more piece of work to do today, and that is about truth. And I want you to feel, as you were knowing what you were knowing just now, the vibration of truth. Feel it. Clarity. And feel how the vibration of truth has a shimmer to it and a light about it and a directness about it, right? Specific truth, right? It has a shimmer though. Memorize this in your body so that you can recognize it when it comes again. Truth feels like this. When you know something, not think something, but when you know something. I call it knowing something by heart. You know it as heart, in heart. I know. And feel the shimmer. I know. And what do you know today in this meditation on this full moon that was exact at 7:30 tonight? What do you know right now? What does the soul want you to know right now. And I'm going to leave a couple minutes here just for the silence. What's to know right now? Feel the shimmer of truth, the shimmering of truth, as you know this now. I know. And as you can imagine now, having attended something that needed your attention in your past, for whatever reason, placed on the altar, given the grace of your light and this group light, and the healing that will be now and in these days following, that allows for your next step. What's next this year, this new year, this new next step as we all step together. And just feeling that almost like you're holding hands, Let's go, right? You feel this feeling of together. We're together. Going together in awareness, in love, in compassion. And you see the new bright future that's literally developing in front of your eyes. It's being made right now. You see yourself stepping into the new light of the new day, of the next new year. And you can feel the shimmer, see? That shimmering. Right, like that. That's good. And then, very good. And just gently then from there, placing that down, putting it down, letting it do its work. Letting it do its work. Trusting it. Trusting that that work is done. And being done, will continue to be doing without you checking to make sure that it already is, so be it. And then just gently letting your breath get deeper and fuller. Feeling your feet on the ground, yourself in the room, as you begin to gently transition out of this meditation. Right. And when you're ready to, opening your eyes and being available, right, to this new way, because something changed. And let it change. Let it go. Let it be different. This is powerful. So good work, everyone. And thank you. We'll be coming around, I think it's, oh boy, I'm guessing January 27th, something like that, is the next full moon. And I hope you get to come. And I hope you work with this energy a little more. Your solstice word. Maybe something you got tonight in the knowing, in the vibration of truth that you maybe felt and recognized as you stepped and forgave something, let something, put something down, to let yourself walk anew into the new. There's a lot of possibility here. So, thank you, everyone. I'll see you next time. Happy New Year. And have a really good night and week. And I'll see you soon.